Good morning, everybody. Today on the Rumour, we're going to be discussing transfers, Sam Byram, Finley Gorman, and Daniel Farke's expertise. Hello everybody, hope you're all doing fantastically well. It is Connor here. We are back with today's episode of the Rumour. If you would like some bonus content, head on over to the Patreon where we released our Generation Leeds podcast yesterday. We also have some transfer bits on there. We will have more scouting profiles on there. We'll have a little bit of data analysis. I'm looking to bring more things to the channel. I'm brainstorming. I'm brainstorming. So make sure you check on that stuff if you fancy a little bit of bonus content. But before we start, everybody, please make sure you're liking, you're commenting, you're subscribing. As always, we've got the debrief tonight with myself, Gabe, and Oscar. If you want to get your questions in for tonight's show, please do so in the comment section below. We would like some questions. We're going to go live, obviously, but we like to be led by you guys when it comes to topical debates. But let's get into today's news. I'm going to start off straight off the bat with a hard-hitting topic. I'm going to be talking about Sammy Greenwood. And what do I think? Do I think Leeds made a cardinal sin, a cardinal error, letting him go to Middlesbrough? I don't think in any shape or form this kid gets into our starting 11. There's no chance in a 4-2-3-1 system. Where is he coming in? Is he getting in that front four like he was at points last season? No. Could this team beat last season's team? Yes. Is he going to get into that DM double pivot? No. So where would Sam Greenwood be? He would be coming off the bench with 5 minutes to go, and he'd maybe get himself a couple of free kick goals or a couple of assists per season. He's really, really well suited to Middlesbrough. There was a gap in the market for someone like Sam Greenwood at Middlesbrough. He's from the northeast. It's clicking. And he scored a wonderful goal against Leicester City, which our eyes are all on because we are chasing Leicester City. But obviously, it was a wonderful goal. Now, some players just don't click at a certain club. That's exactly what's happened with Sam Greenwood at Leeds. It's just not worked. He came as a striker. Obviously, him and Joffrey were almost sort of seen as the partnership that might break into the first team and we might see a long-term future there. Hasn't happened. It is what it is. That is football. You cannot work at one team and work at another team. That's exactly what's going to happen with him at Middlesbrough. But do not forget, he's contracted to Leeds United till 2026. He hasn't just gone to Middlesbrough now. There's a £1.5 million agreement, of course. But if Leeds were to go to the Premier League, Greenwood would have to exercise that right. He might want to come back to Leeds United. And if he does want to come back to Leeds United because Leeds United are in the Premier League, then Leeds could really, see a lot of him in pre-season. Potentially, if we are part of a Premier League calendar, we could get some nice sort of fixtures in the US or whatever. See what he's about. If he impresses, keep him round as he develops in that year at Middlesbrough. Keep him round. Or listen, even if he has developed at Middlesbrough, sell him on. Get him back, see him in a pre-season, sell him on for more money. So it's not all doom and gloom when it comes to Sam Greenwood. But on the hindsight at this moment in time, he'd be in this Leeds United setup. We know he wouldn't. We know he'd be nowhere near it. It just is what it is. It'd work at some clubs. It doesn't work at others. It's just life. Finley Gorman, it's in excess of £5 million, according to Sam Lee, the Athletics Man City writer, which is great news for Leeds. £5 million plus access fees. Leeds apparently getting a record-breaking fee up front as well. Don't mind that at all. Don't mind that. Finley Gorman, apparently Leeds wanted to keep hold of him, but apparently City have turned around and said that he's going to replicate Jadon Sancho in terms of quality coming through their ranks. So this kid is probably going to go on to massive things. There's a lot of hope surrounding him. Apparently, in quotation marks from Sam Lee, they had to sign him. Man City, and they've been at Ellen Road for the best part of 18 months. So, as I mentioned on the video the other day, Leeds can only do so much. We can only do so much to keep hold of a player of that calibre. We can try, but if City are there for a couple of years, the treble winners there, ready to sign up a lad who's not signed a pro contract yet for that amount of money. It says a lot about Leeds' talent pool, which is great. Leeds' talent pool's always been excellent. We've got a big region. It's a big city. We acquire a lot of talents from the surrounding area as well. I think, there's a lot of hope there. I keep mentioning Harry Gray and Charlie Cruz, the next products coming through. We've got Archie Gray in the first team. You've seen Jamie Shackleton. You've seen Calvin Phillips. You've obviously seen the likes of Charlie Cresswell. Leeds have the pathway there, which they will be able to sell to youngsters. Finley Gorman is probably a very unique talent when it comes to that. You don't see many 14, 15-year-olds being signed for that sort of money. Well, you don't. It's a record-breaking fee. So it's a very unique circumstance. Is this going to be transitioned into all of Leeds United's youngsters? I highly doubt it. But, it's good to keep on tabs with that. But it's good as well for Leeds United to be able to get a really decent fee for him. which I think in the long run, we'll turn around and say, okay, and hopefully we've got a couple of clauses in there. I'd love it if Leeds had a couple of clauses. That'd be nice. So I wanted to talk about the togetherness as well of Leeds United at this moment in time, and I think what I want to do is pay a lot of put a lot of credit at Daniel Farke's door, because I think he's been given a really tough hand, especially with this international break that I want to discuss. Leeds are sending, apparently there's 11 players that could potentially be going for international duty. Rotherham have 2. Now, why this is an absolute pain in the arse is because Leeds are playing Rotherham on the Friday night. There's players who will be playing on the Tuesday for their international sides respectively, which means they've got 72 hours before an away game at Rotherham, albeit it's not hundreds of miles away, but still, jet lag, travel miles, they're all going to add up, and it's a real shame that once again the EFL have put Leeds on a Friday night, when this is happening in the international break. For fans, for players, for staff, it's an absolute nightmare. It really is, and it's just frustrating. Daniel Farke has obviously come out and said that it shouldn't be happening on a Friday night. 72 hours recovery. It's not a lot, for players to be coming back and players to be ready. I remember the Southampton game last season down at St Mary's, where Rafinha had the best part of 48 hours. And we couldn't start him. We couldn't start him in that game. It was either last season or the season before, but Leeds just couldn't start him because of the jet lag. He wanted to play, but he couldn't. He wasn't healthy enough to start for Leeds United in that game, and obviously it affected us. But I think it's a mishap by the EFL, but it is what it is. But Daniel Farke has come out and he's complained about it, and that's very unusual for Daniel Farke. So it might be a more telling game against Rotherham. It might be a closer game than you expect, just because of how many players we've got going away in the recovery time and potentially the fitness rates of those players as well. So that's something to keep into consideration. What I'd like to talk about as well is the good job he has done at this moment in time, the decorum that he's shown in interviews, the professionalism. When 11 players exercised loan clauses and another 3 went out as well, 14 Leeds United players went out at the start of the season. I just want to shout him out, really, Daniel Farke, because so far in this sort of like first 2.5 months calendar to where we are at this moment in time, he's done a great job. There's been times where I've criticised him for not being proactive with his substitutions, for not being pragmatic with his formation. But we know with Daniel Farke, what you get. He barely changed formation at Norwich. It never happened. He always had a consistent 11, which he stuck with. And he's doing that at Leeds United. It's a consistent 11 now. We're seeing the same individuals week in, week out, unless they're injured. Pascal Struijk, Sam Byram. But what I really like about what he did was in those early stages when Leeds were struggling, he was able to bring the group together. And this is something that Sam Byram's spoken about. He said it's completely taken him by surprise. The club that he was at previously under Massimo Cellino, and the club that he's at now. Leeds United, a brand new club, a brand new era, a brand new vision. And I think with Daniel Farke, he's almost the pinnacle of that vision at this moment in time, because he's keeping it calm, he's keeping it calculated, he's keeping it cool. But at the same time, he's getting results. And we're getting results in fashion at points in terms of just how we play. At points it seemed easy for Leeds United this season. So I think how he's turned it round, especially with the departures that were at his door at Ellen Road, all those 11 players exercising those loan clauses, the deserters as we like to call them. But also the players who stuck around a little bit longer, your likes of Sonny Perkins, your likes of Sam Greenwood, the likes of Cody Drame, where he really had to think about what he was doing there. Cody Drama, people like me and others were saying, he can start in the Championship. He's better than Luke Ayling. He can start in the Championship. Daniel Farke and Leeds United had to really think with caution here. Sam Greenwood, there would have been a conversation, can he start in the Championship? They let him go to a division rival in Middlesbrough. But a lot of the decisions that Leeds have made have been really good. Helder Costa, how they went about that, really glowing praise with him in the press, and then just saying, look, it's time for you to move on, which Daniel Farke did in an early press conference. Everything has been done with a high level of professionalism, and it's only right that Nick Hammond's been kept on, because Nick Hammond has shown that in the summer transfer window he can do business in a very shrewd manner. Can he do the same in January? That's going to be tested, because Leeds still need more bodies. Every club in that top 5 need more bodies, and especially with Southampton at the minute doing as well as they are, getting a Ross Stewart back after the international break, who is a goal machine. It's going to be a tough task, and Leeds need to keep up with that, even though we're ahead of them. The returning Jed Spence is going to make a massive difference. I'm praying that we see him against Rotherham. That will ease a lot of the strain as well. Not only are you getting a player back to take that position, but you are taking a Premier League player and putting him in a side versus Rotherham. He'll be a bit rusty at the start, but albeit that is a wonderful, wonderful addition to that Leeds United side, and he will not have been on, obviously, international duty. He'll be straight in, which will be great to see. Guys, that's going to be it from me here on the Rumour Mill. We'll be back later on with the debrief. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Head on over to the Patreon if you want some bonus content, and I'll see you in a bit.